What's the most harmless friendship that ruined everything? My wife's old college friend showed up at our housewarming party, and that's when the clock started ticking on my marriage. I didn't think much of it when Sarah introduced me to Alex. He brought an expensive bottle of whiskey and joked about how they used to drink cheap beer in college. I laughed and thought nothing of it. Sarah hadn't mentioned Alex much before. They'd lost touch after graduation, but he'd recently moved back to town. He seemed friendly, tall, confident, with easy charm. I noticed how animated Sarah became around him, telling stories about their college days I'd never heard before. Sarah mentioned that Alex had invited us to dinner that weekend. Dinner was pleasant. Alex seemed genuinely interested in my work. He picked up the check despite my protests and suggested we make it a regular thing. Weekly dinners turned into Alex joining us for movie nights, weekend hikes, and a trip to his family's lake house. Sarah was always excited when he was around, saying it reminded her of simpler times before mortgages and career stress. Then I noticed changes. Sarah began using phrases I'd never heard her say, expressions that Alex used. She changed her coffee order to match his preference. She even started listening to bands he recommended, ones she'd mocked when I suggested them years ago. One night, I came home early from a business trip. Through the window, I saw them on our couch, laughing, heads close together. When I walked in, they jumped apart like teenagers caught by parents. "You're home early," Sarah said, voice higher than normal. Alex made an excuse to leave, and the awkward tension was suffocating. That night, I asked Sarah if there was something I should know about her history with Alex. She got defensive, accusing me of jealousy. "He's just a friend, you're being ridiculous." I tried to believe her, but then came hidden texts, work lunches that left her makeup refreshed, inside jokes I wasn't part of. When I brought up concerns, she called me paranoid and said I always assumed the worst of people. That broke something inside me. It wasn't about Alex anymore, but her dismissing my feelings. I felt lost, wondering if I was crazy or just making things up in my head. Days passed. I asked for a date night, but she was too busy. Yet she casually mentioned spending hours on the phone with Alex during his personal crisis. I confronted her about our growing distance. I told her our marriage wasn't a game. This wasn't about jealousy, but honesty. She apologized and promised better boundaries. I even tried befriending Alex, but the damage was done, and my trust was hanging by a thread. Then yesterday happened. I found emails on our shared computer, hundreds of them, spanning months. Not just friendly messages, but intimate conversations. Alex wrote he'd never stopped thinking about her since college, that his divorce made him realize she was the one who got away. Sarah had wondered what would have happened if they hadn't lost touch. When confronted, she just said, "I didn't mean for this to happen." I moved out that night. 3 months later, divorce papers. 6 months after, a courtroom where her lawyer, Alex's friend, successfully argued she deserved half my family business. I had to sell my portion to my brother just to pay her out. I lost our house, half my savings, and the business I'd poured my life into. Worst of all, my 6-year-old daughter now calls Alex her friend, and talks about their trips on mommy's weekends. Last week at my daughter's school play, Sarah wore an engagement ring. They bought a house in my parents' neighborhood, just 2 streets over from where I now rent a 1-bedroom apartment. The most devastating part? This harmless friendship didn't just end my marriage, it erased 15 years of my life and replaced me in my family story. Now I'm 42, watching another man live in my house, run my business, and tuck my daughter in at night, all because I ignored my gut when that whiskey bottle arrived at our housewarming party.